I recently have been watching the After series. So it's a series on Netflix. I think it's based on a book, or books, a series of books. Man, did I have a hard time watching this series. I kept watching it so I could talk about it here with you guys. But basically, this series is portraying a toxic relationship. And there was one big overarching issue, one big theme that I kept seeing over and over again in these movies. And that was Tessa, the main character, trying to save her boyfriend. Well, on and off again boyfriend, Harden. And so what I want to talk about today is why trying to save someone else, trying to save your partner, never works. And I'm going to be talking about what to do instead, how to save yourself. Before I get into it, welcome if you're new here. My name is Lindsay. I am the Real Love Alchemist, and I help you go from bad relationships to real love with the magic of subconscious work. If you're interested in checking out what I do, click on the link here in the description. So this series, where do I even start? So much was going on. So first of all, there are two main characters in this series. Tessa, who is really the main character who we're seeing the story through, and then Harden, this person who she meets in college who is struggling with a lot. Harden has so many issues. He's emotionally abusive. And I say this because in many of the scenes that we see, Harden is criticizing Tessa. He's yelling at her. He's shouting. This is emotional abuse. He's often very condescending, and that also is part of emotional abuse. He is an alcoholic. There is some time in the series where we see him not drinking, but for a lot of it, he is a legit alcoholic. He commits crimes. We actually see him in one of the movies setting a house on fire. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. I couldn't believe that Tessa still was with him at this point. They were portraying that this was gonna work out. Harden is violent. He destroys property. Essentially, Tessa is in an abusive relationship. They don't talk about this in the series. I did not recall hearing anyone mention abuse, but that is what is going on here. It is an abusive relationship being portrayed in this After series. So we have Tessa, the main character, who is in love with this person, or, it feels like that to her. And so she wants to save him. She keeps taking him back over and over again, and she tries to save him from his self-destructive impulses. Let me know if you have been in a situation like this. Maybe not to the same extreme that Tessa is experiencing, but let me know if you've been in this place before, where you've been with someone who had a lot of issues, it was an abusive relationship, and you loved them, you wanted to stay, you wanted to try to help them, save them, fix them. Let me know in the comments. I've been here too, and so I can completely understand how someone, even though this is a fictional character, how someone could get into a situation like this. So let's talk about why. Why is Tessa in this situation to begin with? Why does she feel the need to save him? And I know you're gonna say, well, it's love, she loves him. Well, yeah, that's part of it, but there's so much more going on here. So if you can relate to Tessa in any way, keep watching. So in these movies, they don't tell us too much about Tessa's past, but what they do show us, we know that her father left her at a young age, and he was also an alcoholic. Not a coincidence that she now, in her adult years, is involved with a destructive alcoholic who often leaves her. So we know that Tessa likely has a lot of baggage around the relationship with her father. So what do we tend to do when we have unresolved issues from our past? We actually tend to be drawn towards people who are similar to these people from our past who we have unresolved baggage with. We're drawn towards men who are similar, like I talked about. Again, not a coincidence that she is with Harden, who is so similar to her father. So when we have this unresolved baggage, this unconscious wound, that's the place that we operate from. And that is actually the place that drives a lot of our attraction towards someone. We're operating as this wounded inner child, and we're trying to get the ending with our partner that we didn't get the chance to get with our caregiver. And in this case, Tessa wants to save Harden because she couldn't save her father. And this, trying to save someone, will never work. We can't save someone from their pain. We can walk beside them if we're professionals, if we're therapists or coaches. We can walk next to someone and walk the path right beside them, but we can't do it for them. No one can. And here's the thing, it's not your job to save your partner. It doesn't work. If it did, I would tell you. I would say, here's how to do it. Here's step 1, 2, 3, how to save your partner. But I'm not saying that here because it doesn't work and it's not your job to do it. The only person that can save someone is themselves. And they have to want to. You can't want it for them. You can't make someone want it either. They have to genuinely want to get better themselves. They have to really, truly want to heal. You can't love them into wanting it. You can't be endlessly compassionate and make that person want to heal. It won't work. We watched Tessa do that in this after series. We watched her be endlessly loving, endlessly compassionate in hopes that that would inspire Harden to change. And it didn't. What Tessa really needs to do is to walk away and honestly get herself into my Living Free Finding Love program, because this is what I help people to shift. I help you to release that baggage from your past, all of that stuff that's sitting around in your subconscious, driving you towards partners who you want to save or to fix. I help you to let go of all that stuff, because guess what? Guess where you need to turn all of that saving, fixing, helping energy to yourself. Because again, like I said, there is only one person who can do the work, and that's you. You can only save yourself. Because here's something else you need to know about healthy relationships. Healthy relationships do not involve two people saving each other, or even one person saving the other. Healthy relationships are two people who are saving themselves, who are working on themselves, who are doing their own work with the help of professionals so they can show up as healthy as possible in the relationship. And they're not relying on the other person to do it for them. Your partner can support you in your healing work, but they're not doing it for you. You are doing it yourself. Because again, it doesn't work. I'm going to say this over and over in this video. It doesn't work. You cannot save someone else. As much as it feels like you can. And I say this as a person who, again, has been in that illusion, I could say. It really felt true that if I just loved this person really hard and showed up really compassionately, that will be enough to inspire them to change. And I am here telling you from experience, it never worked. It never worked. So hypothetically, how would Tessa break herself out of these patterns of trying to fix or save somebody? Let's really break it down here. Let's start with the deeper reason of why we do this, often the unconscious reason to why we do this. We talked about one of the main reasons before, often to get a do-over from our past, but there's more going on here. Often we get into this pattern of trying to fix or heal somebody because it helps us to avoid doing our own healing work. Because what does healing ourselves really mean? It involves facing pain. It involves grieving some losses. And that is truthfully not so much fun. Most of us would rather do anything else than stop trying to fix someone and focus on our own healing, because it's super uncomfortable. It's hard. And so in order to distract from that, we focus on somebody else. It is a painful and scary process to do your own healing work, but it is 100% worth it. It's how you get to true healing and real love. I promise you all, it is worth that pain and discomfort. If Tessa were my client, I would advise her to end the relationship with Harden and go no contact for a number of months, because she needs time to heal. And so does he. He needs that time apart from her to figure out what his next steps are, to get himself together. Because truly, he does not need the distraction of a relationship. He's got bigger fish to fry. He has to stop drinking. He has to stop being abusive. There's a lot of work for him to do, if it's even possible for him to get to the place where he could be in a healthy relationship. There's no guarantee that this is going to happen for him, but we're not worried about him right now. Let's focus on Tessa. Again, I would advise her to go no contact, and then we would focus on addressing the subconscious issues that got her into this situation in the first place, that are keeping her in this cycle of avoiding her own pain and helping her to start to process it, feel it. There's likely some subconscious issues of abandonment, grief from losing her father. Now, she actually did lose her father. He did pass away. Sorry guys, spoiler alert. I should have told you that in the beginning. I'll put a warning on this. But she did actually lose her father in I think it was the last series. In the beginning, when her father left her, even though he wasn't dead, there's likely a lot of grief there, and that is something that she would have to process, to feel, to move through. She likely is carrying around energies of unworthiness, because when you have a father like that who just leaves, you often feel like it's your fault. There's something wrong with you. You don't feel worthy of good treatment. So I would help her to release those energies so she could get her self-worth back. Because when you have good levels of self-worth, you don't tolerate the stuff that she did with Harden. You have really solid boundaries, and when somebody hurts you multiple times, you walk away for good. And in this subconscious work that we would do, I would also help her to rewire any negative beliefs that she's carrying around from her past. Like maybe she believes, people will always leave me. No one loves me. And when you believe that, you are drawn into similar situations because your subconscious does not want to be proven wrong. If it believes that people always leave me, strangely enough, that's the people who you're going to choose. You're going to be drawn into those dynamics because, again, the subconscious is very uncomfortable when you're in a situation where it's being proven wrong. Like if she were to if she were to get into a relationship where someone didn't leave her, that would feel very uncomfortable for her psyche. When we do the subconscious work and we rewire the beliefs to something positive, like that, I am safe in relationships, I am loved, then that becomes the energy that you're drawn into. You feel more comfortable with people who do stay, who do love you. That's the power of subconscious work. I would help her to rewire those beliefs into feeling like she is lovable and worthy of healthy relationships. And when she was ready, I would help her through the dating process. And I would not recommend that she go back to Harden. He's got a lot of work to do, and I would recommend letting him go do that. Because the type of work that he would need to be able to show up in a healthy way, we're talking years here. It's gonna be a while. I would recommend she get into a much healthier relationship. Like with that guy from her job who bought her that car. Or maybe he didn't actually buy it. Maybe he just found it for her. I don't remember. But the point is, he seemed pretty nice, pretty awesome. You might be thinking, well, Lindsay, that relationship that she could potentially have with this guy from work, that doesn't sound as passionate or as romantic as the relationship that she had with Harden. So let me talk about that. What I would say to that is, yeah, you're right. You're right, actually. It would not be as passionate. It would not be as intense because the dynamic that she had with Harden was toxic passion. That was not healthy love. That was not healthy passion. That passion was fueled by anxiety and longing. Anxiety from never knowing what the heck Harden was gonna do next, whether or not he was gonna be there the next day or not. And that longing, that's there when you're with a person who's there sometimes and not sometimes. They're not totally available to you. They're distant, and so you feel that intense longing. And yeah, it's super passionate, but it's also super toxic, super unhealthy. So yes, a relationship with someone who was healthier would feel different. It would still have passion, but it wouldn't look like that. It wouldn't look like an unhealthy passion. If Tessa could go through this process, she would likely be another one of my amazing clients who broke the cycle of bad relationships and found healthy love. That's what I do for my clients, that's what I would do for Tessa, and that's what I would do for any of you who came to me who said, Lindsay, I'm ready. I'm done with bad relationships. I want real love. So how do you break free if you're like Tessa? You stop taking this person back after they leave. You let go of all hope that this man will be able to change and show up for you one day. The odds are not in your favor. And even if the odds might be in your favor, you still let him go. Let this person figure themselves out, let them heal, let them get themselves together, give them time, and then you can see. You still move on. Because in a situation like this, you are actually not the help that someone like Harden needs. They need professional support. It's not the type of support that a partner can offer. So let them go. Speaking of lots and lots of red flags, as we saw in this after series, are you confused whether a red flag might be a real legitimate red flag or maybe you're overreacting? If you're not sure, check out this video here.